debt, responsibility, and what you owe simply for the act of being born. That is what we're going to discuss, what we are going to explore in this poetry discussion. Welcome to Strip Cover Lit. I am Adrian Ford, and we are here for another poetry discussion, which will take place, of course, in two separate playlists here on the channel. Number one being the Emily Dickinson playlist, a playlist of videos dedicated exclusively to the greatness of Emily Dickinson, but also the poetry discussion playlist here, a playlist which is ever growing on the channel. So if you find yourself here by chance but not design, literature is the only thing that I talk about on the channel. Consider hitting the subscribe button in order to stick around for more. The poem in question today is He Ate and Drank the Precious Words. This poem is one that might seem a bit off at first, but once you delve into the ideas behind it, I think that the usefulness for a poem like this stands out. The poem in question reads as such: He ate and drank the precious words, his spirit grew robust. He knew no more that he was poor, nor that his frame was dust. He danced along the dingy days, and this bequest of wings was but a book. What liberty a loosened spirit brings. I got a little bit ahead of myself and highlighted a word before the poetry discussion itself, but I want to start not with that highlight, but with the very last sentence here. What liberty a loosened spirit brings. In my opinion, this loosened spirit is not one of dilly-dallying. This loosened spirit is not one of untethered freedom, but freedom as delivered by meaning. Freedom as delivered by meaning. What's the meaning? He ate and drank the precious words, and his spirit grew robust. This is about consumption and production. Now, those are words, terms which may have already turned you off because they reminded you too much of Economics 101. But I promise there is a different bit of wisdom behind Emily Dickinson here. He ate and drank the precious words. His spirit grew robust. This is the training phase for the individual in question. The training phase for someone who is going to produce, and this bequest of wings was but a book. There is a quote that I've mentioned several times on the channel now from Horace Mann. Be ashamed to die until you have won some victory for humanity. Be ashamed to die until you have won some victory for humanity. For the individual in question in this poem, that victory for humanity, means the production of more literature. It may seem masturbatory. It might, to dedicate your life to reading words, consuming words, and then reproducing them. But in my estimation, that is some victory for humanity. That is something that is furthering the human experience. If we are to take even more ancient wisdom with us, and why shouldn't we, at least in contemplation, we hear time and again through the echoes of centuries past that the meaning of life is suffering, and fair enough. Maybe that's true. It seems oftentimes that is true, that we are to suffer. That being the case, there is another Emily Dickinson poem, If I Can Stop One Heart from Breaking, I Shall Not Live in Vain, which is to suggest that even even contributing to humanity, that which eases suffering, is in itself a goal, is in itself a righteous good, is in itself worth the struggle, is in itself worth the suffering of that individual. Is that the case? Is that the case? I think so. I think that the question, so if we are to take that quote from Horace Mann to heart and say that you should be ashamed to die until you have won some victory for humanity, the necessary question after that is, what is victory for humanity? We could start this exploration as far from art as possible and say that we're going to start this exploration with economics, with business. We're going to take the case of the humble entrepreneur. Does the entrepreneur lessen human suffering? Is the entrepreneur's case worthwhile? Have they won some victory for humanity? I think so. The ultimate question at the base of all entrepreneurship, entrepreneur, a word that would draw cringes and perhaps even induce writhing in any English literature hall that you want to travel down through the entirety of the ivy walls of academics. The main question beneath the entrepreneurial spirit is, what problem can I solve? That's the simple question there. Now, take it to another extreme. What if someone just causes chaos? What if someone just goes about life destroying things? Is there a victory to be had for humanity here as well? I think on some level, perhaps. Maybe not physically. Maybe not those individuals who go around and destroy ancient artifacts. But take this into consideration. Christopher Hitchens wrote a book called God is Not Great: How Religion Poisons Everything. A presumptive title, for sure. But when he was going on tour for this book, his idea was not, I'm just going to stand up in front of people and lecture for an hour and collect money that way. What he wanted to do was introduce debate. His entire tour for the book, what he did was he invited thought leaders in the religious communities on stage with him, some Christian, some Jewish, some Muslim, and debated with them the idea of God. There was one individual, I believe, I haven't been able to re-find this argument, but it stuck with me for a decade at this point. I believe it was Rabbi Shmuley, who said that in his idea of creation, individuals like Christopher Hitchens, who aren't just questioning God, but doubting God, aren't just doubting God, but indeed asserting arguments against God, aren't just allowable, they are necessary. Because without the test of a doubter, how could we really refine our ideas, our thoughts, our beliefs? For someone like, and I believe it was Rabbi Shmuley, don't quote me on that, to suggest that individuals asserting that God is a force for evil are necessary, if someone like Rabbi Shmuley is willing to say that those individuals are necessary, someone is devout as a religious thought leader invited on stage to defend God against that idea, to say that not just doubting, but assertion of evil behind what what religious people are almost indebted to believe is the only force for good, that argument to say that those individuals asserting the exact opposite are necessary is an incredible admission of what our life's goals, what our world's meaning is to be. The individual in this poem He ate and drank the precious words, producing a book at the end, is contributing to humanity. All of us, I think, on some level have that drive. I think that the compulsion to tear down, the compulsion to destroy, is secondary. I think that a lot of this comes when the ideas of creation are forsaken. Individuals will get to the point where they realize, I don't have the tools to create. And instead of saying, I need to accumulate the tools to create, it's much easier to say, I'll just tear down. I'll just tear down. The old stuff isn't working. I'll just tear it down. I think that it exists. I think that is a secondary compulsion. He ate and drank the precious words. His spirit grew robust. I think that opening salvo is a testament to the fact that when we find what it is that we believe we are to do, when we find that call, when we find that meaning, it emboldens us. That is all I have for this poetry discussion. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, literature is the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week, and there is poetry to be had every Monday. So consider hitting the subscribe button to stick around for more, and as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.